So we had a problem when we started Edison Motors. We were a truck manufacturer that didn't know how to build trucks.
You know guys, building a prototype is actually pretty easy. A proof of concept actually even easier.
Relatively easier.
I mean, it's crazy to think that we can just go from a backyard operation we have behind us off a couple prototypes, but getting to production is so freaking hard.
Yeah, well, they say, you know, we didn't do this because it's easy. We did it because we didn't know how hard it was gonna be, and we're pretty committed now.
So committed.
So let's have a look. How did we actually take this idea that was a proof of concept, a rough prototype, and now get it to the point where we think it's a production shop that's ready to go into that shop behind us here now? Building our first truck was really easy because the truck already existed. We used Carl here, which is a 1962 Kenworth built back in Vancouver, BC, but a lot of the work was already done. The cab was already done, the hood, the fenders, the steering, the axles, the frame rail, everything was kind of there. We just needed to take all of those parts that we grabbed for our hybrid electric driveline system. We took the old Tesla motor, an old 3306 cat off-the-shelf generator, and we put them all in here and it worked. And we learned a lot while building this. We learned a ton about our system. We redesigned another system while we were building this to make some improvements. We also learned that, well, we wanted to build our own truck. And this was very clear, especially to us in Lethbridge, because we went down to Lethbridge, Alberta to a big truck show there. We were sitting there and we were in the Kenworth booth. There was a brand new Kenworth. There was a Kenworth from the 1920s or 1930s. And then there was our truck celebrating the mix of the old and the new. Old classic Kenworth with a new driveline. But the thing is, it wasn't a Kenworth. We didn't want it to be known as a Kenworth. We wanted to be known as our truck. We wanted to build our own truck. So we came out with this truck. Everything on Topsy was brand new. We started with 2 pieces of frame rail. We started building fenders, bumpers, hood. We built the whole cab. We did everything on this truck. And we did it a large part and with my dad and a couple of local mechanics and fabricators out of Merritt. These guys were awesome. Like, my dad has been a Red Seal welder, machinist, millwright for the last 40 years. They could build amazing truck parts, and we got so many compliments on the quality of this truck and how it was built. And that was fast, because we could take something that was in his head and he could just cut it up, build it, fabricate it. It was just literally done by what was in his head, put down onto here, and it worked. It was quick. We got this truck out, we got it certified to be road legal, went through the inspection in Quesnel, but there was an issue. How do you manufacture that? I mean, we want to scale and we want to build to the point where we could build hundreds of these trucks. We can't just use my dad and what's in his head to do that. We had to grow and we had to get advanced and we had to get set up mentally to build these facilities. So we went out and we talked to quite a few different manufacturers. So I want to give a big shout out to guys like Viking Chives who took us over to Ontario. There was K-Line Trailers. Kelly has been an amazing help there. They walked us through their manufacturing process or facilities. We even went to Germany to the MAN truck production facility to see a huge production yard and a few others along the way. Too many to thank in this video, but we spent probably 2 years. I talked with mentors, other companies, and we realized that we have to build at scale. We need to have parts that are repeatable, available to order, so that you get an order for a truck, you pick up the phone, you call your suppliers, hey, I've got 5 trucks ordered, give me another 5 trucks worth of parts. And then you can scale it. Okay, now we need 10. Okay, now we need 30. Okay, now we need 50 trucks worth of parts this week. That's how you grow, is that you place large order volumes. But the thing is, that doesn't work if it's just in my dad's head. So we had to expand our engineering team and we had to figure out how to get the parts that were in my dad's head and my head out into being repeatable. So we'll go over, we're gonna talk to Yale, and he's gonna walk you through how we expanded that engineering team, and how we had those parts designed, manufactured, and how they show up now. So right up here is the engineering department. It is directly above the truck shop, but this is where all our designers and engineers take an initial prototype and a concept and put it into real 3D things. Why don't we head down the stairs here? This is my office, Ray's office, and Yale's office. You can tell we're a little cramped up here. Yale, how did we get these trucks from an idea to production?
Yeah, so when I started here, we were building Topsy in the tent, and all of the design was happening in Chase's mom's guest bedroom. Now we're 13 here working in an office, and what we've been doing is taking the ideas, the early prototypes that we had, and we're turning them into real parts that can be manufactured over and over. So that means we start with a scope doc, we talk to Chase, we look at what worked and what didn't, we kind of fix up that design for manufacturing, we put it in our CAD model, make sure everything will work well, do some sims, and then we send it off to get drawn, and then we can send it out.
So
This
let's
way
go
we
talk
can do it over and
to
over.
Jared here. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get Jared to show you how that looks like. So I'm here with Jared. Jared, walk us through here. Once the designers and engineers get a 3D part in Onshape, how do we get that into a drawing?
Yeah, so once they give me a part, I give it a review and I make sure that everything's going to fit together properly. So I check things like clearance holes and gussets and structural integrity. And then I try to figure out if a part needs to be welded, is it possible to weld? So once I look it through in the 3D model, I bring it over to the drawing space and then I make a full fabrication assembly for it. So this is the full fabrication assembly. You can see all the parts on this first page, and then we go into more depth with the other pages. Like we look at things at their flat pattern, like here's the gusset, and we have other components like this is one of our side plates with a lot of mounting potential. So once this is done, and I send the drawing package and all the step files to Mimi, and then she gets it fabricated.
So Peter here has been with us since we were working in the tent since the Topsy days.
Your parents' spare bedroom.
Literally in my parents' spare bedroom. So he's been instrumental in one of those things. So how did you do it? Taking that rough Topsy to...
Yeah, so showing up, and Topsy was obviously already driving. I saw Topsy drive before I joined Edison. That was why I wanted to join, and taking that vision and kind of the ethos of Topsy and what they had created and turning that into a CAD model, because there was nothing on the computers when I showed up. So building up that model that we can mass produce eventually was really important. Taking that vision that you, your dad, and everyone who helped build Topsy, because there was so many people, volunteers, like it's a pretty special truck. When you go walk around every corner of it, there's a different story of why they did this or why they built it this way. And so it was really fun to be able to take that vision and put it into something that we can mass produce eventually.
So it's pretty cool. So why don't Peter's gonna walk us through here how we used Onshape to take all those parts and get a thing that we can order.
Yeah. Before we get on to Mimi, I wanted to stop and tell you guys quickly about a key tool in our design process, and that is our CAD software, Onshape. So when I joined Edison, we were using SolidWorks, and immediately it was a huge pain in the butt trying to share files back and forth with such a small team. We didn't have an IT team who could manage infrastructure and servers and all this. It was just the three of us trying to share files back and forth, and we wanted to spend our time designing files instead of sharing things back and forth. So we thought, we're not building a traditional semi-truck, why should we use a traditional CAD software? So we looked around and we heard about Onshape. And Onshape combines the CAD tools we need with the file sharing and simplicity of a software like Google Docs or Google Drive. So for a demo, I'll show you how easy it is for me to open up that file that Jared was just looking at. Usually on a traditional CAD software, we'd have to talk back and forth, check in, check out the file. But in Onshape, I'm easily able to just open it up like that and look at exactly what he was just showing you guys. So I can give him feedback right away if he has a question about a design, and it makes the whole process so much easier from start to finish, all the way through manufacturing. I'm sure lots of engineers out there relate to the issues I was talking about with SolidWorks. So if you want to try out Onshape Professional for free for up to 6 months, we have a link in the description for you to try out.
Now we gotta go outside, and here is the administration office. So to come in here, the very first step is gets over to Jen, who makes sure that the part is compliant. So what do you basically do when you have a look?
I look at the part number, I look at my CMVSS, and yeah, we just want to make sure that every part on the truck is compliant.
Yeah, we have to make sure that any part that's going to go onto our truck meets the legal requirement. And some parts have special things, so Jen makes sure that if it does have a special requirement, the engineers were aware of that, and that was accounted in design. Next, let's head over to the next step. Once Jen does a final sign off that it's compliant, we move over to the next stage of ordering. Once Jared gets that drawing, he sends it over to Mimi, and then Mimi organizes how to get that part made with our suppliers.
So yes, I do contact the suppliers, provide them with the drawing, then we discuss pricing and make them a PO, and together we organize, obviously, shipping, because I'm the shipping lady, back to town.
I said that in one video and I'm still in trouble for it. She does so much. This is a critical job. There is so many different partners we use to make it. We use probably, what, 90% in Alberta, 10% we get them made here in BC, but they all have different stages of different progress. Who does the best at making each part, figuring that out, the cost effective, powder coating, painting?
Timing, a big thing.
This is, I want to give, big shout out. Thanks so much for helping this out with getting the parts. Awesome job, and it's really, really cool. Mimi is basically the final step to make sure what's in the engineer's head now gets sent and onto the shop floor. Let's go into the shop floor and let's have a look at one of those parts that just arrived. Mimi got that drawing sent over to FP Metals. FP Metals made this part, and now we have a ready to go reproducible front engine mount on this one. So we'll get this in there, and then when the X15 comes in, we'll drop it on. But feels pretty good to just see this show up. We didn't have to fabricate it, we didn't have to weld it, and we can order as many of these as we want. And we have individual part numbers, everything listed, so if something breaks on a customer's truck, we can replicate it, we can get it sent off, we can send them over the design files even if we want to, and they can build their own. So this is a huge step up. Really, really impressed with how all this stuff, all the way from fender mounts, engine mounts, cab mounts, this entire truck, we have not had to really build a single part on this truck. It's all been designed, manufactured, and the parts have just shown up.
So you know what's crazy? When we started this thing, we were in your backyard, right? And we were in the coveralls, in the muck, actually building these trucks ourselves.
That's great.
And to think, in 2 years' time, we basically went from that to a fully fledged team, right? Full of administrators, designers. And what we're able to do now with mechanics is actually get to production. You know, potentially get into production, where we're in this massive facility. And it's so incredible to think that it's a team effort, right?
Oh, it feels so good. I am so proud of our entire team here. All the engineers that took something that was basically in my mind, my dad's head, to 3D make those parts, to send it off to the team that would then do the drawings, to send it off to the administration staff to make sure those parts were CMVSS compliant, and that we could order them and source them and set up lead times and get all of that documented into a bill of materials list that we can just send off when we order a truck. Means that we can now order parts. So when this shop is done, we can have those parts ready to go and start that production line.
Pretty surreal feeling, right?
It feels pretty good.
Now, if you want to support us in getting to production, our investment is now open. So make sure to go to our website, edisonmotors.ca, go to invest, it's the only place, and there are links based on where you're from. Thanks so much for your support, everybody.
And make sure our website is the only place you can invest, and make sure you read the full offering memorandum. All the accurate information is going to be on that. Read the disclaimers, make sure the investment is right for you. But yeah, we really, really thank those of us who have supported to get this far, and those of you who can support us to take this next step and get this shop going.